Hello everyone. Thanks for joining me on this tour of my farm. The farm is located in Marengo, Illinois. I grew up here on this farm, as did my father. Someone has been living on this property in my family since 1947, which is a long time. I thought first of all we would start by taking a look at the barn. We're not really sure what year the barn was built, but we do know that up in the hayloft, instead of using nails, they used pegs in order to hold the beams and everything together. At one time, the barn was used for cattle, for dairy cattle. It's also been used for pigs. Right now, unfortunately, it's just used for storage, but we will go ahead and take a peek inside. When I was a child, this was all pigs. So on either side of the center section were stalls for the mama pigs to have their babies. And then there were pig pens outside, and the little pigs could go outside and run around. Prior to that, this was all for dairy cows. So you can see right now that it's mostly used for storage. My dad used to store all of his old tractors in here. So it's still in use and it's still well taken care of. Okay, we're going to go ahead. Once the cows would give their milk, it was put into milk cans and it was taken right next door to the milk house. And in the milk house, the milk would be stored until the milk truck could come and pick it up. So this is the milk house. Right now, again, it's pretty much just used for storage. But if you see this trough right here, this would be filled with cold water, and then the milk cans would be put into the trough. Each milk can had the name of the farmer on it, so that the cans could be returned again to the farmer once they were emptied. You can see there is another door that used to be right there, so it was easy to get from the barn right here into the milk house. And this building had to be kept very clean and sanitary. It was inspected all the time by the milk inspectors to make sure that the milk was good. This is the pump house. Being in the country, we don't get water from the city. So inside that little building is the pump or the well where we get water. We have really good water out here. There's a lot of rock, so it's really good. That building that you see over there is a pig building. It was built in the 80s. And it's solar. On the front there are panels, so it's solar. And many, many pigs went through that building. That building was also destroyed by a tornado in the 90s and then rebuilt. The farmer, if the farmer has animals, will store grain in order to feed the animals. So this is one of the largest grain bins. I was really little when this was built. My dad and a few other neighbors built this. And then we've also got a couple more down here, a couple smaller ones. The smaller one, my dad moved to our farm from another farm, put it on a hay wagon, and pulled it through the countryside and put it there. So we'll take a look inside. This is where the grain is stored, whether the farmer wants to use it to feed his animals or store it until he can sell it. I know it's a little dark in here, but you can see. When I was a child, this would be filled all the way to the top with corn. And when it got down a little bit, there are ladders on the inside. My sister and I would climb up those ladders and then jump into the corn. So it was pretty fun. So that's the grain bin. Right now we're out in the field. This farm has 80 acres. Right now, most of it has been planted in corn, field corn. Other times it's planted in soybeans or wheat. But this year it's corn, and you can see it's right here in front of me. We just had some wonderful rain, so the corn is really growing quickly. This is corn that is used to make food, and it's used to feed animals. This corn isn't really corn that you would eat like sweet corn, although when it's really young you can eat it. Eventually, right now this corn is about probably knee-high, maybe not quite. Eventually it'll be above my head, and then it will get some ears. Typically each stalk of corn gets one ear, grows one ear, Sometimes you get 2, which is great. And then in the fall, the farmer will come through with his big combine and combine the corn and then either store it or sell it. But you can see off in the distance how far the property goes down to that tree line. And then we have a woods here. This used to be a pasture for the cattle many years ago. And now it's a woods. We've started trying to clear it out and keep it mowed. So we'll take a little walk back there. But you can also see, the puddles from all the rain. You can see the back of the farm. There's another building back here that my dad built for storage. We always make sure that we kept all of the equipment inside so that it could be protected from the storms. Take a walk back here. On this property, we've also found many arrowheads over the years, which were left behind by the Native Americans who were either passing through or lived here. So we'll go ahead and take a look into the woods right now. So here we are into the woods. In the spring, when we've had lots of rain, sometimes there's a pond back here. You can see it's been cleared out. And you can see the back of the property also from here. It's very peaceful usually back here. Sometimes we'll see deer, occasional skunk. But it's very quiet back here, very peaceful. One of my favorite places to be. We do have a burn pile. There's a lot of twigs and branches and things that come down in the storms. So we put it back here on a pile, and then every so often we burn it. We're allowed to burn here in the country. So that's done. You can see the back of the house. It's just a peaceful, beautiful place to be. Since it requires so much equipment in order to farm, combines and tractors and balers and discs and plows and all those things, my father believed in keeping everything inside so it wouldn't, the elements wouldn't destroy it. So we'll take a little peek inside this shed right now. This used to be filled with all kinds of tractors and everything, and now you can see it's pretty empty, but there is still one tractor left. It's an Oliver tractor, which they don't make anymore, but it was my father's favorite tractor to farm with, and so we still have this one. It still works. It's still used to mow out in the pasture from time to time. So you can see there's lots of room in here. Due to the glacier that was in this area many, many years ago, it kind of stopped and then backed up. It left lots and lots of rocks in this area. So one of our jobs every spring and fall was to go out into the fields and pick up rocks and move them out of the way so that they didn't damage the equipment. Well, this was one of the biggest ones that was found. We dug this one out, and because it's so huge and it's kind of pretty, we put it on display here in the yard. So you can see how big it is. Also, over the course of the years, walking the fields, we found many, many arrowheads left behind, like I was saying before, by the Native Americans. So right there you can see there's a couple of them that we found over the years. Haven't found any most recently, but years ago we would find them quite often. So here's just another view of the farm. There's another shed we have down here for more equipment. And you can just see the crops growing, more corn in the field right here. You can see the woods where we were at a little earlier. The grain bins. This tree right here was a great tree for climbing when I was a child. I could go pretty high back then. Still standing. And then we've got I hope you enjoyed the tour of the farm. It's one of my favorite places still to be, and I hope you enjoyed it. And ask me any questions that you might think of. I'm always here to answer.